This tale comes from the Muskego people who live around the Hudson Bay, James Bay area. Louis Bird shared this story with us. There was a time way back when there were only animals and no humans. The great skunk was the most fearsome animal. The other animals had to figure out what to do about him, so they decided to have a meeting. They made up one rule. No one was to ever cross his path. They didn't want to get hurt by him. One day, Weasel was out hunting in his own territory, and he came across the big skunk's trail. Well, he figured, I've got to take a shortcut. I don't want to go all the way around. So he dove under the snow and went right down to the earth and tunneled there and then came up on the other side, and then he went home. He didn't tell his wife until just before bedtime. The big skunk, he felt vibrations. Someone was messing with his trail. So first thing next morning, he went out there and he had to check it all out. At first he didn't see anything, and then he found the tracks of the weasel. So he started to follow. Weasel and his wife, they already had the dreads. They knew something could happen to them, so they decided to warn all the animals that everyone should run away from that great skunk. So they all went way to the west where the mountains were. But they got tired, the kids got tired, the older ones, so they decided, we better make a stand. We can't go any further. So again, they decided to have a meeting, and Bear was asked to check out where the great skunk was, because Bear was a visionary. So he sang his special bear song. Well, the people figured, the animals figured, we've got to do something around the long lake, which was where Mishi Pishu lived. He was a big cat, and he agreed to help them. But they had to do something, like they had to hold the great skunk down, ambush him, hold him down. Wolverine was given a special job. He had to hold that part of the bump of the great skunk so that nobody would get sprayed. Well, Mishi Pishu took his sweet time to get there. He was told, quit wiggling your ass, because he was getting ready to pounce. So he brought that great skunk down, but Wolverine let go before the tail came down, and he got all sprayed with the pressure. He couldn't see, he was in pain. So the elders told him, you can't mess up the water around here. You better go back to the Hudson Bay. You better go back and get some help along the way. So first thing he bumped into was a tree from the boreal forest. Then there was another tree, a little tree, who said, I'm the tree that is right next to the Hudson's Bay. Then he bumped into a stone. The stone told him he was at the tidewater, so Wolverine was able to go to the deep water and wash his face, and he could see again. So this is the story that people tell, especially when they're around dirty or salty water. You know, like Winnipeg. They talk about the time the Wolverine washed his face in the Hudson's Bay. Miigwech.